A couple weeks ago, I asked the community who would be interested in seeing a long-form video of me making Clash Royale emotes and my entire process, and to my surprise, a lot of you actually wanted to see this, so here we are. Today, I'm going to be showing you how I designed this little emote right here, the Spirits emote, and actually I'm going to go through the entire animation process from scratch. I haven't pre-animated anything. I'm going to be doing that with you today in this video, so let's get straight into it. So the first thing that I always like to do before getting into a full-on design is obviously to sketch things out. It's a general shape, and you can see how basic and kind of rough the design looks in the beginning, but it gives me an idea for space, how much everything is going to fit, where things are going to fit within the small frame of the emote that we have here. And that is based on references. So I take these little references and kind of just sketch out a general idea of what I want it to look like. And when I was coming up with the idea for the emote, I knew that I wanted to follow what they did with the ice spirit, bouncing into frame and then bouncing out in a sort of joyful and friendly way. So once I've got my sketches done, then I go through the process of actually fleshing out each of these spirits in their own creative and unique little way. I took creative liberty and just redesigned the ice spirit to match the style of the other spirits, since the one that is already in game is very different to the ones that I created here, and that's just what I wanted to do. And as I'm creating the individual elements to the emote itself, I'm always thinking of how it's going to function inside of the animation software. In a little bit, we'll go over to the animation software and I'll show you what I mean, but it's important that I'm designing for animation. Otherwise, if I'm just creating the emote for a one still frame purpose, and I just toss it into the animation software, it could potentially not work when I get to that stage. Before I put this emote into the animation software, I need to make sure that all the parts of each of the emotes are totally separated. So the legs are separated, the eyes are separated, the pupils, the mustache, the mouth, things like that, so that I can animate each part. Let me fast forward through piecing out all of these little elements so that I can get the emote ready for animation. Okay, so now I've got all the parts ready to go for animation, so let's take it over to that software. And here we are inside of the animation software. This is called Live 2D Cubism. It is probably the best 2D animation software that I've ever encountered. I used to work in After Effects to do my emote animations, but this is by far a quicker, more efficient workflow for me. So if you want to get into it and you want to try it out, it's called Live 2D Cubism. But anyway, as you can see, things are acting a little bit weird. We imported the emote. The teeth are coming through the mouth. The eye glow is sort of going outside of the eye. And that's because some of the layers that I had linking to other layers inside of Photoshop are no longer linked in here. So I've got to go ahead and clean all of that up. And then once we've cleaned the linked layers, then we have to organize all of the individual parts into all of their set pieces so that we can get ready for animation. And there you have it. Now all of the layers that were outside of their correct places have been put within the bounds that I want them to be in, so the eyes don't go outside of the bounds of the eye socket. That looks kind of wacky. And the teeth don't go outside of the mouth. It's time to give the parts that are going to have more of a 3D sort of a look their own proper mesh. And what a mesh is, actually, I'll just show you. So for instance, this fire here, right now the fire can only move in two axes, the x-axis, which is left to right, and the y-axis, which is up and down. But that doesn't look super great, so I want to give it a little bit more of a 3D-ish effect. And to do that, I have to add a mesh to it. And what the mesh does is it just automatically subdivides all parts within this square so that I can adjust them as I please. So you can see as I'm moving these points, it's moving the image. Of course, the further I go, the more it distorts the image, but we're not going to go that far. It's just there so that I can use it if I need it. The other things that I think are going to need mesh are the tongue for sure. Auto mesh that just in case I want to create a little wavy effect. And I think probably the mustache here. Let's just add a mesh for now to the mustache. And we're not married to this. I can take it off later on or add some as we go, but I think that's a pretty good start. So now that we've got the meshes added, it's time to start animating. I'm going to hide, whoops, let's do the Electro Spirit first, and we'll put him at the top since he's at the front. So what I envisioned was, like I said, that they would pop up from below, do a little movement, and then pop down out of frame away from the others. First things first, I'm going to take the body and I'm going to place a rotation deformer as the parent of the body, which is going to allow me to rotate the body wherever I please. And what we'll do is add rotator deformers to the arms so those can rotate from the body. I'll just draw it. This little drawing tool is a little bit better to get the job done quicker. There, so now I've got some control over the arms. So let's go ahead and create another arm rotator for the left arm. I'm gonna hide the body here so that I can see clearly. Boom, that's there. Now I can rotate the arm in its proper movement. And same for the left leg. Bada bing. And same thing for the right leg. Where's the right leg? There's the right leg. And bada bing. Okay, perfect. So now all the parts are able to be rotated on a proper axis. Another thing that I need to be able to move is the mustache. And we are going to create a rotator for each individual piece of the mustache so we can see it sort of like flow in, peak at the top, and then flow down, or vice versa. Flow down as it's going up, and then flow up as it's going down. Okay, let's see. Rotator there. Very nice. And we'll call this mustache rotation R. And now I need to go mustache rotation L. There. Okay, excellent. So now all the parts that I want to move are movable, and everything else is just going to move on the X and Y axis. We're going to take the E spirit and create a warp deformer, which is going to give it a boundary where it's kind of like a box around whatever you want that allows you to move it and adjust it in greater movements, grander movements. So like the mesh deformer is very fine little details. The warp deformer is really big and clunky movements like X and Y and other things like that. So we're going to add a warp deformer for the E spirit. And that is going over everything. That's parented to the entire illustration here. And I'm just going to scale it down so that it fits within the bounds of the Electro Spirit itself. Let's go a little bit smaller, and that's pretty much good to go. Now I can just adjust this to move him up and down. So now that we've got the warp deformer set up, it's time to tell it where it can go and where it can't go by setting parameters. So I've got this little XY lever here that I'm going to be able to use to kind of do this essentially, is move it up and down, left and right. And I want to do all of it in one knob so I don't have to mess with it too much when I get to the animation stage. This is all still prep for the animation. So this point is the very peak of the jump. And I'm going to designate that this be the bottom. Let's go a little bit further so it's off screen, a little bit to the left. So he's going to move to the right a bit and up. And then when he gets to the right, he's going to move right and down. So he's going to move further down, or further to the right. So let's go there. And great. Very basic animation. And actually, I wanted to have, now that I'm looking at it, a little bit more hang time at the top instead of just being so mathematical, like up, down, up, down. So I'm going to add a couple more parameters here. There, that's a little bit more natural. So now I can adjust that, and it's really nice and slow, and I can leave it for longer in this sort of floating state. All right, so now that we've got the general body movement going here, and it looks pretty decent for now, it's time to give some parameters to the other elements of the body. Let's start with the legs. Let's highlight left leg, and we're gonna make this keyframe be a little bit further, and they can sort of adjust. Yeah, that's good. I like that. One moves a little bit faster than the other. And then the farthest to the right they're gonna be is kind of over here. Now when we're moving up and down, we can also be adjusting the legs to move with the body. Cool? Cool. After that are the arms. On the farthest left-hand point, it's going to be, let's say, the farthest we can go is about there. And the farthest we can go is here. So we're going to make that the farthest left point. And then he adjusts up. Perfect. So he's moving. You can see his arms shift a little, and as he's falling, he can brace himself and remove his arms. Okay, so next up is the mustache rotation. And all we're going to need for this are essentially 2 points. The bottom maximum amount and the top maximum amount as the mustache is going up and down. So let me just make sure I've got my mustache points highlighted here. And this is going to be the very maximum of the bottom. So as it's going out, let me just set it to go down a little bit further. And at the very top, or actually on its way down, it's going to be kind of up. So as he's going up, the mustache is down, catching the wind, and then it does a little bit of hang time. However, I want to choose that. And on its way down, you can see that it is floating down. Beautiful. That's good. We've got the arms, the legs, and the mustache totally animated. Actually, I am going to switch over to animation mode here, and let's add some keyframes. Hey, that's pretty good. Not quite there yet, but that's only because we haven't added the other features. I don't like how I want it to launch up way quicker than that. So let's scoot this back. Let's give it a 1/4 frame. There we go. That's how fast it should be jumping. And the fall time will be longer. So we'll give more time in the middle. Ah, that's a little bit better. Too slow, but that's getting there. But I want to shorten it just a little bit. So let's go maybe to here and see how that does. 5 frames. Oh, look at that. Okay, so that looks pretty decent for now. I can always tweak and adjust things later and make it look smoother, but for now, that does the job. So let's just adjust the other elements of the model here. We're going to start here at the bottom with the mustache. He's going to go up a little bit. It's going to hang a little bit. Nothing about there looks good. And then on its way down, going up, and then really fast the rest of the way. So let's see. Okay. Okay, let's scoot it to the right, actually. That might be it. And then just, we're going to skip this frame, and we're just going to go straight to going down. Like really fast. Yoink. Okay, that's better. So he's down, and then he's up. Down. He's holding. And then immediately just shoots up. Down, up. Great. Jump. Jump. Now let's do the arms. So his arms are going to start up, really far up. So he's jumping, and then they're slowly going to expand open. Great. So he reaches this point. His arms should shift more there. And then all the way open. That's it. Whee! Fast movement of the arms. The mustache is moving quite a bit. And now the legs. So the legs are going to be, let's see, at the farthest point, kind of back. Let's say right about there. He's moving up. And then right about the 1 frame mark, his legs need to already be on their way forward. Here, we'll scoot this back a touch. And at 45, actually, by the time, let's see how this looks. Okay, pretty good. And we want to add one more parameter to this. So let's go with a body rotation. So his body is over here. It stops going that way and it starts going this way. Actually, I'm going to extend this out just a little bit further. There you go. Just a little accent that's hardly noticeable, but makes it that much more realistic. So now that I've got the E-Spirit totally animated, I'm going to go through animating each of the other spirits in fast forward so you guys don't have to sit through this same kind of boring process. And I'll show you what it looks like in just a few moments. Okay, so I've finally completed setting all of the keyframes in the animation, and it's looking pretty good. It looks like this. Nice. The movements are fluid, they're quick, they're interesting, and I'm quite happy with it. The only things left to do now are to tie these little spirits to the white border so they disappear once they reach the black border here, and then go into sound design. So I am going to quickly link these spirits to the border, make sure it all stays within the frame, and then I'm going to move over to the third software for sound design, and you'll join me there. So hang tight. All right, and here we are in Adobe Premiere at the final step, sound design. So this is what the final animation looks like, totally tweaked and ready to go. Oh man, I love it. It looks so cool. All the little guys peeking at the corner and then popping out and jumping. Awesome. But the only thing it's missing is a little bit of sound. So I've preloaded a couple of sound effects here, and I'm just going to show you kind of how I do it. So my vision is very simple, just adding a couple of wind sounds to it. Then also the sounds of the spirits themselves, which I pulled directly from Clash Royale. So the first thing we have to do is add the whoosh sounds that come up here at the very beginning. So let's just drop a bunch of these little winds down into here. They sound like this. Hopefully that isn't way too loud for your ears, but yeah, like that. So we'll get just a couple, 4 of those technically, or maybe 1 or 2, because with sound design, you'll be amazed how you can fool the ear. So I think probably 1 or 2 should be more than enough to get the sound across. Let me hear this really quick. Okay, that is way too much wind. So we're gonna stick to the short and simple ones. Let's hear this second one. Oh. Okay, cool. So we're gonna just try a couple of these out. So, and I'm focusing on, right now I'm looking at the Electro Spirit first, just to match his sound to the swish. And I'm gonna obviously turn this way down. Let's go -5 dB just to make it not so loud. Actually, this could have a little bit more time on it, so. And this comes over here. The last one seems to go only up to there. Okay. So let's just add one more for good measure. And I think actually we might be able to get away with just 2. Yep, just 2 works perfectly. That kind of conveys that they're running away from the area that you've spotted them. And they're gonna fly into the sky. So let's then do the Electro Spirit here. See what this sounds like. I'm gonna turn this way down just in case it blows your ears out. Okay. Nice. That sounds really cool already. All right. And then the Heal Spirit. How much did we subtract? 8 dB. Okay, let's go -8 on this. This one has a really long sound compared to the Electro Spirit. So I'm gonna cut it off right around there. So let's cut the tail end off of that. Let's fade the tail end. So we're gonna just reduce that tail by a little bit. And let's hear what that sounds like. Oops. Perfect. And then the Fire Spirit should take over it where you don't even notice the ending of the Heal Spirit. So -8 on that as well. A little bit louder. Let's add 3 dB to it. And then the Ice Spirit is the last one. Subtract 8 dB from that so it's not way too loud. Okay. Great. Kind of noisy, but it's gonna work. We're gonna also add, I want to add some like actual proper sounds, like the electricity and fire, because the Heal Spirit has its sound effect. You hear the like chimes, and so does the Ice Spirit, but the Fire Spirit and the Electro Spirit do not. All right, so I've got my sounds. I've got a little fire crackle here that I'm going to add, and I've got a little electrical noise as well. So let's toss in the electrical noise, and I think I don't need much of this. Let me go -5. I think all that I really need is a couple seconds worth. Yep, that's pretty much it. So, let's put it where it belongs. And add a couple crossfades to it. And we're going to turn it down a bit because we want the main sound to be the voice. Perfect. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more to the tail end of the Heal Spirit. I don't like how it just cuts out so abruptly. There's that. Okay, we're going to add the fire crackle now to the Fire Spirit. That's a bit much. Let's turn that down 10 dB. There we go. And add a crossfade. Add a crossfade here as well. You know what? Let's add crossfades to these and these just to make everything really clean. Oh, that's so cool. That sounds awesome. I love it. I just turned down the fire sound because that was a bit too loud for my taste. But let's hear it again. Oh, man, that is so cool. I love it. All right, I'm happy with it. Well, there you have it, guys. That is my process. That's the entire beginning to end of making an emote and animating it. I hope you liked it. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to leave me a like and subscribe for more awesome content just like this. And without further ado, here's the final version of the Spirit emote.